Here I have Nicole Renee.
Hi.
In my studio. She is a model, in case you couldn't tell. She is about to head out to LA to pursue an acting career. So we are in the studio today filling out her portfolio. You know, I never asked you, what type of acting are you wanting to do?
Well, I've dabbled a little in, I've done commercial, I did theater in high school, and I just, I'd really like to do movies, sitcoms, really get into character. And so that's kind of what I was going for, definitely. So, but I mean, it's a whole world out there, so I'm excited just to kind of dabble in it all and just see what feels best for me, what I like best, so yeah.
That's so exciting. I'm so excited for her because we've worked together a few times, so she's kind of my buddy. Anyway.
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, we're in the studio and we're taking pictures, but I want to put aside my big DSLR for a few minutes when we're taking our photos, and I want to bring out my point and shoot camera because a lot of people, when they're starting out, I'm sure you know some people that are saying, hey, I want to be an actress or a model or a spokesperson, and they need headshots. So they start taking self-portraits, or they get their friend to take some snapshots of them. And sometimes they look like snapshots.
Yes.
What did you do when you got started?
Actually, my sister, funny that you mentioned, took snapshots for me. I knew that they needed to look professional, but I obviously didn't have the money to get professional photos done right away. So we set up our own. We set up our own kind of little studio in her room, and just she snapped away, and they ended up I mean, they were snapshots, but they looked good and they worked. Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
Well, it's interesting because that's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. Because even though you're taking photos with a point and shoot camera, it doesn't have to look like a snapshot. You can really set up kind of a basic studio and maybe use some lighting that you have around the house. Maybe use some professional lighting, like I've got some professional lighting around here, like these floral lights, and use your point and shoot camera. Most of them have a lot of flexibility these days, and you can get some really professional looking results to add photos to your portfolio. Or, more importantly, even for some people, would be family portraits. I mean, who doesn't want, more family portraits or a picture on the Christmas card or whatever? You can take some really professional looking photos without having to spend a ton of money on, going into the photographer studio. Of course, I should probably input here that I am a photographer and I do take headshots, and I do charge for my services usually, but all that being said, you don't have to do that, especially in the beginning. So we're going to take some pictures.
You might be thinking right now, professional results from point and shoot camera, Snapchick, you're crazy. Seriously though, you can. You might not have the awesome flexibility of a higher end DSLR, but most newer point and shoot cameras have plenty of options and great image quality. Add to that some fairly inexpensive studio lights, and you've got a portrait studio. Really. Some people will tell you that a top of the line camera and studio setup is the only way to get good pictures, but they're wrong. In the studio, it's the lighting and the talent that will make or break a shoot. Nicole Renee was nice enough to humor me during our shoot, and I brought out my point and shoot camera, my Canon G7 here.
Cute.
It's so weird that it doesn't have a noise. I'm like used to the click.
I know the proof is in the pudding, so take a look at this photo from the shoot taken with my point and shoot camera. During the shoot, I used my point and shoot camera with two of these fluorescent lights with soft boxes. The great thing about these lights is that they provide continuous lighting. They don't flash, they're just always on. There are lots of different types of lighting, ranging in price and everything else. I have several inexpensive work lights from the hardware store that put out lots of light that I use sometimes. Or you could get a little more advanced and purchase something like these floral lights. Or you could get even more advanced and spend a little bit more money and use strobes, or maybe even just speed lights. If you do strobes or speed lights though, you have to make sure that your point and shoot camera has manual flash and exposure settings. Whatever type of lighting you're working with, using a point and shoot camera is a great way to get started in photography. You can learn a lot of the basics by just using a point and shoot camera, and even more once you start adding some lighting into the mix. So, like I said, professional photos are wonderful. Expensive gear is great, but you don't always need them.